This one click sold your identity, the hidden marketplace of you. Privacy in peril, unveiling the economics of privacy. He didn't notice the alert at first, just a flicker in the corner of his screen. Then it vanished, a missed heartbeat in the pulse of his digital life. He was sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through email, inbox bloated with half-read newsletters, spam, and promotional junk. The subject line that changed everything was almost invisible. Account issue, immediate action required. It looked legitimate. It sounded urgent. And in a world where attention is currency, he gave it his most valuable asset, a click. 2 minutes later, his login credentials had been harvested. 10 minutes after that, a backdoor had been installed on his machine. By the time he noticed a lag in his browser and restarted his device, the siphoning had already begun. Not just his data, his life, piece by piece, traded like stock in an invisible market. But he wasn't the only one. He was just the first domino. This is a story of how a single moment, a single click, triggered an economic chain reaction with consequences no one saw coming. This isn't fiction. It's a real case with real victims, real perpetrators, and real damage. Behind the smoke and mirrors of the digital world, a silent economy thrives on the one thing most people don't protect, their privacy. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand who orchestrated the attack, how they leveraged one person's data to infiltrate millions of others, and why the promise of free in the digital world often comes at the highest price imaginable. What you're about to see is a chilling autopsy of a privacy breach that rewrote the rules of digital trust. Who was behind it? How deep did it go? And how much are you worth to them? It began in late spring, in a high-rise tower that shimmered above the skyline of a bustling American city. The company, known publicly for convenience and innovation, was in the business of connection. Social apps, productivity tools, personalized services, everything users wanted without ever asking for a cent. The only thing it asked for was access. On the 11th floor, a mid-level developer named Chris had flagged an unusual API behavior in their internal systems, a slight delay in response times. He chalked it up to server load. But when his colleague Dana from security noticed a series of automated login attempts from Brazil, followed by identical traffic from Germany, Singapore, and Estonia, it was already too late. The breach was no longer hypothetical. It was happening. Unbeknownst to them, a cybercriminal syndicate operating under the alias Black Row had already mapped the company's architecture months before. They weren't breaking in. They were walking through doors left wide open in the name of customer convenience. Data sharing permissions, over-permissioned tokens, embedded trackers, third-party analytics. Every feature meant to optimize user experience had become a potential weapon. The initial phishing email that reached the first victim had been crafted using publicly available information. LinkedIn, scraped profiles, leaked databases from prior breaches. The attacker, operating under the handle Synapse, was known in underground forums for weaponizing behavioral data. He didn't brute force systems. He manipulated people. Social engineering was his art form. Once the employee's machine was compromised, Synapse moved laterally through the network, escalating privileges with surgical precision. He didn't grab everything at once. That would have triggered alerts. Instead, he sampled 10 records here, 20 there, slowly building a mirror image of the company's user database in a hidden server farm housed in Moldova. Credit card tokens, IP logs, app usage metrics, biometric data, even emotional engagement patterns. Every swipe, click, and dwell time, sold in pieces to different buyers, marketers, fraudsters, identity traffickers, even state-sponsored intelligence units. The company never knew how many hands their user data passed through, and neither did the users. The breach might have gone undetected for weeks had it not been for a low-level anomaly reported by a security researcher named Kendra Price, who discovered fragments of the user database on a dark web marketplace called the Pavilion. What caught her attention wasn't the data itself. It was the format. The structuring of the tables matched exactly what she'd seen in a white paper published by the very same company 2 years earlier. They'd been breached, and whoever did it had access to the entire architecture. Kendra, acting independently at first, compiled a report and sent it to the company's CISO. But by then, Journalists were catching wind. Regulators were circling. And millions of users were about to learn that their most personal data had been commodified without their knowledge or consent. The investigation turned into a digital manhunt. The FBI's cyber division partnered with Interpol and private threat intelligence firms to trace the attack vector back to its source. Synapse had been careful, but not perfect. A VPN misconfiguration revealed that one of the servers used in the attack had briefly exposed an IPv6 address registered in Romania. That was the crack investigators needed. From there, it was a game of digital breadcrumb chasing, wallet addresses, crypto tumblers, burner phones, and deepfake video calls used to launder ransom communications. The more they uncovered, the deeper it got. The breach wasn't just about stolen data. It revealed how data itself was being turned into a shadow currency. User profiles, once anonymized, were being re-identified with AI-enhanced models. Purchasing habits were cross-referenced with health app data, GPS location history, even audio snippets from smart devices. BlackRock wasn't just exploiting one company. They were part of a sprawling network that trafficked in digital identities. At the heart of the case was a single terrifying truth. Users had willingly given away everything. Bit by bit, checkboxes clicked, permissions granted, terms of service never read. The attackers didn't hack the system. They used the system exactly as it was designed. Investigators were stunned to find internal memos suggesting that company executives had known about the architectural vulnerabilities for months, maybe even years, but had opted to delay patching them due to business impact concerns. Translation: closing the holes might reduce ad revenue. A whistleblower eventually came forward, an engineer named Rahul, who had documented internal debates about how much data was too much to collect. One executive reportedly said, "If we're not harvesting it, someone else will." That quote will become the headline on every tech news site in the world. In the end, the breach affected over 137 million users across 12 countries. Data from social workers, military families, school children, and mental health app users was confirmed to have been sold. The public outcry was immediate and furious. Class action lawsuits mounted. Congressional hearings were held. The company's CEO resigned during a live-stream press conference. But for many users, the damage couldn't be undone. Identities were stolen, bank accounts drained, trust obliterated. Governments scrambled to respond. The U.S. introduced emergency revisions to federal data protection regulations. The European Union accelerated enforcement of GDPR violations. And yet, the data was already gone, scattered across hundreds of servers, duplicated, sold, resold, embedded into the bones of a trillion-dollar digital ad economy. And so the world was forced to confront an uncomfortable question. In an age where services are free, what exactly are we paying with? The answer, now unavoidable, was ourselves, our preferences, our routines, our secrets. The data economy didn't start with a hack. It started with a smiley face reaction, a location ping, an innocent selfie filtered through an app that asked for just a little too much. And Synapse? He was never arrested. The trail went cold. Some believe he was recruited by a state intelligence agency. Others say he's still operating, quietly, crafting new phishing kits, testing new attack surfaces. But the legacy of the breach lives on, not just in courtrooms or legislation, but in the way people think about digital life. Because every time you agree to the terms, you agree to be the product. You just don't read the fine print. We're all part of a marketplace now. A vast, invisible economy trading in who we are, what we do, and what we might do next. Privacy, it turns out, was never free. It was always for sale. So the next time you open an app, accept cookies, or authorize access with a single click, ask yourself, how much of you are you willing to give away? Because someone, somewhere, is already buying. This is cybercrime exposed. And now you've seen just a glimpse of the price we all pay in the digital age. Subscribe to Cybercrime Exposed Files, unmasking the dark side of the digital world, if you want to go deeper into the secrets, lies, and crimes behind your screens. Like this video if it made you question the apps you trust, and leave a comment below. If everything you do online can be tracked, bought, and sold, Do you really own your identity anymore? Stay alert, stay anonymous, and stay with us.